Your Excellency, thank you again very much for an excellent lecture. I think very thought-provoking, and we also really appreciated at the end, in particular, your optimism about how you see also the situation moving forward when it comes to multiculturalism as well as interculturalism. We'd just like to take the opportunity now to ask you a few follow-up questions based on that excellent lecture. And I think His Excellency, Mr. Yakash, if you could begin.
Actually, His Excellency the Ambassador has already given the answer to my question, but I would like perhaps him to bring more precision. First of all, when you said that the multiculturalism may not work, but interculturalism may work to some extent, did you mean that it may work? It doesn't work in Germany, but if we now turn to Pakistan, is there any program of the government to eliminate the differences between cultures and to promote the multiculturalism? Of course, there you may not even call it multiculturalism, because within Pakistani society, are they different cultures or are they only different tribes with the same culture? Of course, these are things that has to be clarified in further detail. Because when you were saying that multiculturalism in Germany does not work the same way, but interculturalism may work. This was for Germany. How about in Pakistan? Is there multiculturalism there, or is there a multicultural society? And are there measures taken by the Pakistani authorities to facilitate multicultural society?
No, as you would know, it's a very relevant question. As you would know that Pakistan was created on 14th of August 1947. It emerged on the world map in 1947. Now Pakistan, the basis of Pakistan was its the ideology that Muslims of the subcontinent would like to have a separate homeland where they can live according to their own values, their own culture, their own religion, because in the subcontinent, Muslim was a big minority, and there were issues. So Pakistan, Muslims of the subcontinent got a separate homeland, which called Pakistan. Now in Pakistan today, we have different ethnic groups. And along those ethnic groups, we have 4 provinces: Punjab, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Sindh, where traditionally ethnic communities are living. Punjabis are living in the Punjab, and Sindhis are living. So there are, but those now differences, there are cultural differences as well. Because if you go to the Punjab, and then you compare that with the interior Sindh, people dress up differently, they eat different things, they have different languages. So there are cultural differences. But one thing which binds them together is their religion, their faith. And that is the basis on which we are promoting a Pakistani culture. Now, 50 years ago, Urdu was not really a lingua franca in Pakistan. But now, almost everyone in Pakistan, there would still be people who would not understand our national language or cannot converse in Urdu. But you would find Urdu has become a lingua franca in Pakistan. Now we are kind of, as I said earlier, in Pakistan, we see there is more interculturalism in the sense that different cultures, local cultures interact with each other more aggressively. At different places, in markets, in government offices, because through policies, the government policies, we have tried to bring all cultures together. Without patronizing any particular culture, we are creating a Pakistani culture based on our 4 or 5 local cultures. And it's a very interesting way of transforming ourselves and producing or creating a new culture that everybody accepts through the media, and that does not mean that local cultures are kind of evaporating from the scene. Those are still there, but in the meantime, a super culture is being produced through a natural process not through any forced policies. Similarly, I believe, because in the West, especially in Europe, I personally feel that multiculturalism is not the way forward, simply for the reason that we have seen in the past that it has not worked. That's why, we hear criticism or critique against multiculturalism all the time. So the best way is to allow cultures to create opportunities, because here you will have to make an extra effort, because you have ethnic minorities who have come from other countries, from other lands, other regions, and it will take an extra amount of work and energy to really create opportunities for cultures to come together. And mainstream people have to play an important role in this.
So it goes beyond making Urdu lingua franca. Urdu was a language invented through multicultural by Mahmud Ghaznavi. But now this multicultural lingua franca is being spread, I understand, more to the people who do not still speak it. But beyond it, there is something more than language also.
Obviously. As I said, we have common religion, and that is the binding force. And then,
half of the work is done by the
religion itself. Yes. Then there are cultural differences, and those cultural differences are not that acute, which would not allow a common culture to develop in the longer term. We are still not there where we can say that we have developed a Pakistani culture. We are still, I think, a few decades away from that. It's a process. It's a natural process. If you force upon people, then things would not work. So we are encouraging through different policies. For example, in the government federal structure, we have kind of quota system that 16% people is a kind of positive discrimination, as we call it. That 11% people every year from poor provinces like Balochistan or Sindh will have to join the federal government. So that that promotes interaction between different communities and promote understanding of different cultures, and then in the process creates a super culture on its own without really working towards that.
In this case, the fact that Urdu is a multicultural language, does it facilitate?
It does.
Yes, definitely. Because it took words from almost all tribes.
All different languages. For example, there's so many words in Urdu language itself, which has you cannot really justify them in pure linguistic terms. But we have borrowed so many words from vernacular, from local languages. So this process is kind of enriching the language itself and creating a new language. And that is really helping a lot in terms of integrating our provinces, integrating our cultures. I think it's an experience which is worth studying.
Your Excellency, just to follow up on that point, we spoke earlier about Pakistani identity, also about German identity. It seems very clear you're in favor of interculturalism as opposed to multiculturalism. Does multiculturalism pose a threat to national identity, if we talk about Pakistani identity or German identity?
Not really. Multiculturalism, because I am no one to really advise to the German government as to which path they should follow. As an outside observer, and I know that Germany has never pursued multiculturalism as a policy. They have tried in some regions, like in Frankfurt, multiculturalism, but then again at a very limited level. Here too, the focus is on integration, because multiculturalism is seen in the West as a concept which weakens the nation state, and nation state has been built over the centuries. So no country, especially like Germany, would like to see that national sentiment weakened in the process. So if Turkish community or Pakistani community or Arab community can play their role towards strengthening German nationhood, that is okay. But how that will happen, I really do not know. I do not have any answer to this particular problem.
And the other way around for Pakistan? Or?
No, but Pakistanis, I think, as I said earlier, our diaspora here is not in millions; it's in thousands. Though it's still a sizable community, and I tell my diaspora, my community, that they should mainstream themselves. That doesn't mean that they should be assimilated in total. They should. I mean, you cannot. As Muslims, we will have to celebrate 2 Eids. We will have to fast during the month of Ramadan. We will have to do so many other things which the mainstream community would not do. That goes without saying. But that doesn't mean that by doing these things we are showing our disrespect to the mainstream culture. And there are so many positive things in the mainstream which can be borrowed by the minorities, as we do. For example, in sports, in education, in science and technology, there is always room for learning from each other, and it's a continuous process. You cannot give any time frame as to when will this happen or when this should happen. It's a process. It has its own dynamics, and it is affected in many ways: local issues, regional, national issues, global issues. For example, here, especially in the West, it also depends, especially when it comes to Muslim minorities, how your government policy is vis-a-vis on the issue of Palestine, on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. Because if you take a position which is pro-Israel, then you are creating problems for the Arab community here, who would automatically feel more sympathetic towards the Palestinian cause. Similarly, when it comes to Turkish community, the government will have to be very cognizant of the fact that its foreign policy or its policy on different issues should not directly be challenging the sentiment among Turkish people here. So it also, because in the West, for example, if you have taken a pro-Israeli position, then you are creating an environment where you're alienating your Arab community here. So all these things play their, they have their influences. And it's a very tough job for any government to really, to have a balancing act.
No, that's true.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Basit, to follow on this issue, as an ambassador of Pakistan to a Western country, do you think there's a need for the Western society to instill and encompass cultural and ethnic values of demographic minority within the mainstream one in order to achieve a better level of tolerance?
Yeah, I'm lucky in the sense, being ambassador of Pakistan or being a diplomat, I am not supposed to integrate into the society. So, so I am really having a good position, privileged position. But as for our community is concerned, you're absolutely right. Tolerance is the word. And in my own experience of 30 years in the diplomatic life, I have seen time and again that we as human beings have the capacity to be tolerant of each other. And I think and multiculturalism is based on tolerance, toleration. And that is there. And if we are tolerant towards each other, try to understand each other, try to reach out each other, and without being condescending, without patronizing any particular culture, that we are superior, our culture is superior. Your culture may be superior in some respects, but ethnic minorities, they also have a very kind of, here in, if you take the example of Germany, Turkish people here, over 3 million, they come from a background which is historically or culturally as superior, as forceful, as powerful as Germany's, civilization or culture. So for us, it is important to show respect to each other, tolerance, and not be condescending in our attitude, in our approaches. Because all of us as human beings go through, as nations, as individuals, go through different experiences. And all of us, contribute towards building a better society. Nobody has the monopoly over the final judgment or over the final truth or because even facts, truths, all these are relative terms. They change from society to society. So here, I think you're absolutely right. We should have show tolerance towards each other and try to promote understanding. That is the key.
And I would also like to ask you, within a Western society, would you consider the Islamic values an obstacle or rather a useful tool towards a functioning multicultural or intercultural society?
I think there is lack of understanding in the West of Islam. And it is also, I think, in a way our fault of Muslims and Muslim countries. We have not been able to reach out to the Western world to explain and to make them understand as to what we are. Unfortunately, most of the Muslim countries you find today, they have been through a colonial process. And we got our independence after the Second World War. So we are going through a process or a period where we see the world. The memories of colonialism are still fresh in our minds. And it would take time for us to dispense with that mindset. Because everything is seen from that perspective, a relation between periphery and the center. So once we get out of that paradigm, then things will change. And here, I think we are equally responsible. If there are misunderstandings, we are equally responsible for that as Muslims. But I think on the Western side, it is important that the legacies which they have created, colonial legacies, those have to, kind of brought to an end. I mentioned Palestine issue. That is going on now for decades. That also, in a way, creates misunderstandings, political misunderstandings. You take the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, that is also a legacy of the past. That needs to be resolved. So disputes involving the Muslim world should be resolved in order to create more understanding. That would be one way. But then Islam, I would not say it's antithetical to the West. I think we have very strong points, and Islam is a religion of peace. And there are elements in all societies, in all groups, who would go to the extreme. And in order to grapple with those serious issues, we need to focus on education, focus on bringing about more economic harmony, balance. And that is, responsibility of Muslim countries as well as the West. And there are efforts being made at different levels, at the UN level, at the region level. And I think since 9/11, though things have become more complex, but eventually we do not have any other option but to live together, because challenges are so humongous. You take climate change, transnational organized crime, including illegal human trafficking, narcotics, you name anything. These are challenges which transcend national borders. And in order to deal with them, you will have to join hands together and work together. So for us to survive as humanity, I think it's important that we understand each other. And Islam is not really a barrier in promoting interculturalism. I would say that Islam as a religion is far more accommodating in its approach. Though we do have our own value system, but 1.5 billion people, Muslim in the Islamic world, you cannot really, look the other way. They have to be part of the global effort, whatever that may be.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, what roles can other organizations, institutions, or NGOs play in helping to foster multiculturalism?
No, I think the way the world is now being governed or is moving, I think NGOs and non-government organizations have a very vital role to play in promoting interfaith harmony, interfaith understanding, intercultural harmony. You take your own institute, ICD, for that matter. And I was really pleasantly surprised to see that there is one I think for the first time in my own career, I have come across such an institution, which is focusing on cultural diplomacy, because that has been neglected in the past. And we have never thought of this part of our life, that how cultural diplomacy can really play an important role in bridging the gaps between nations, between countries. So I think NGOs, civil society as a whole, they are playing a very, very important role in creating, in promoting democratic values, in promoting universal norms of, human rights. All these, if you see advocacy groups, for a country like Pakistan for that matter, if you take 10 years back, we did not have a very strong civil society. But now, in the last 5-6 years, civil society has really come a long way. Now you find advocacy groups in all areas, whether this is women's empowerment, child labor, you name any area, you will find an NGO working really forcefully to promote their objectives. So NGOs, and then, as I said, there are global challenges, and it is beyond a government to really handle them on their own, unless people are involved at every level, and NGOs represent people. So I think it is beyond any government to resolve those problems and challenges. So NGOs would play an important role in the years to come, to first of all to enable all of us to handle these difficult challenges, and secondly to bring people together, whether it is climate change, terrorism, extremism, diseases of different, of all kinds, illiteracy, you name anything, any social problem, you will find NGOs at the forefront.
Your Excellency, Pakistan has been the site of multiple ethnic tensions since its creation in 1947. Do you see these as being an inevitable occurrence in the future? Or do you advocate a shift in domestic policy as a potential solution?
No, I think the irony or the unfortunate thing which happened with Pakistan, because most of our problems originated because of our regional environment. We still have problems with India, and when Pakistan got independence in 1947, we had problems with India, political disputes, Jammu and Kashmir in particular. Then on our western border, Afghanistan, especially after the Soviet occupation in 1979, things really worsened for us because we had to look after 5 million Afghan refugees, and we still have 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan. So that conflict in Afghanistan, the protracted conflict in Afghanistan affected Pakistan in many, many ways. And what we are facing today is a result of that long conflict. So Pakistan, unfortunately, because of that, we have not been able to focus on our internal issues. But then, as I said earlier, Pakistan is a resilient country. We are a resilient people. Despite the long conflict, 30-35 years, Afghan refugees, suicide bombings, floods in 2010, earthquake in 2005, which wreaked havoc in Pakistan and brought unprecedented destruction. But Pakistan is still surviving, and surviving very, very well. Despite all these things, Pakistan is still growing at the rate of 3 to 4%, which is amazing, which is miraculous in many ways. And then if you see, Pakistan is again, you see, I mentioned earlier our civil society, how that is doing. And then, in the process, because of our security issues, the people of Pakistan were not allowed to have democracy in the country. We had seen in the past many military regimes in Pakistan, but now we are back to democratic experience. So I think as democracy strengthens in Pakistan, political parties strengthen in Pakistan, civilian institutions, get strong in the process. There is every reason to be optimistic because it's a 200 million people. It's a big, big country and a nuclear power. So Pakistan is a country which has an important role to play in the region and beyond, I would say, because when you mention about climate changes, about terrorism, about narcotics, all those challenges, Pakistan is a major country. And I'm very glad to see that Germany and Pakistan are two very, our relations are really improving a lot. And since there is no political irritant between our two countries are cooperating in many, many areas. And as a matter of fact, just in September this year, our foreign minister was here, and our two countries signed a strategic dialogue process. So now we will have first round of annual consultations next month in Berlin. Our foreign secretary will be here. So Germany and Pakistan are two countries which are cooperating in several ways, not only to promote understanding of different issues, but to come together to help resolve other global issues as well. So here again, I'm as ever. I remain optimistic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning that in the first question that I asked, that Pakistan is making efforts to create an identity for Pakistan. But among the several tribal or cultural groups that you mentioned, do you think that there are other groups that complain that the identity is more biased or based on one group, Pashtun or Baluch or the others, as compared to the others? And if there are such difficulties, what do you do to overcome?
Definitely, there are grievances. There are grievances because the most populous province in Pakistan is the Punjab, which constitutes 60% of our population. And then there are other provinces which is smaller population. So there are always grievances. But that is the beauty of federalism, you know. You would also have similar problems in Germany, where lands like Bavaria is far more dominant than other, perhaps, regions. So these problems are always there in a federation. So we are not really immune, or we are not free from those problems as well. But the government, through positive discrimination, is trying to create an environment where all local cultures thrive in their own way, and at the same time they come together, converge on certain points, and create a Pakistani identity. And I think we have succeeded in the last 65 years to create a Pakistani identity. For example, if there is a cricket match or any other match with India, people will immediately, they show that they're Pakistani and they would like the team to win. So it's a great kind of spectacle to watch. So Pakistani identity is now very much part of our psyche. And despite the fact that we come from different provinces, we have different ethnic backgrounds, but I think Islam has played a major role in keeping us together and in building a new identity which is called Pakistan. So Pakistani identity has now become part of our national psyche, and that is important. That perhaps was not there 40 years ago or 50 years ago, because we were still struggling with our,
Are there non-Muslim?
There are non-Muslims.
Buddhists?
There are big population of Christians in Pakistan. We have Hindus in Pakistan. So we have minorities, and their rights are protected in the constitution. Interestingly, I should have brought a book here. Minorities are there, and the government is committed to, and we have in the past, tried to, again through positive discrimination, try to encourage them to come participate in politics as well. So minorities are there, but not huge as such. But they are 1 to 2% of our population.
It doesn't prevent the Pakistanization process in Mumbai or not?
No, I think minorities are as committed Pakistanis as majority, because they're people from the land.
Okay.
They have not migrated from Germany or from Latvia.
You cannot alienate them.
They are not aliens. They're very part and parcel. They're minority in religious sense, not in territorial sense or ethnic sense. They're very much ethnic Pakistanis. Ethnically, they are all same stock, So it's a very interesting. For example, in Bosnia, just came to my mind. I do not know why. Even Bosnian Muslims, they're all from Slavic, descent. But now, unfortunately, in the West, Serbians, and they are as Slavic as their Serbian neighbors. But now Bosnians, because of their Muslim identity, they are being racialized differently. So
They are
if you-
labeled as Turks.
as Turks. So if you start, redefining your ethnic identity on the basis of religion, then you have problems. Because even in Germany, I have come across many local indigenous Germans who have converted, who accepted Islam. So how you would treat those Germans in future, I do not know. But these are hard realities, which you cannot escape. So here, we have our own biases, our own way of handling things. But at the end of the day, I strongly feel that all of us are human beings. We have our weak points, we have our strong points. And it will take some political effort, some political investment to promote vigorously this idea of interculturalism at the local level, at the national level, regional and global level, because that is the only way for our survival and to have a life, peaceful life and prosperous life for all of us.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for sharing with us your perspectives on some of the transitions taking place in Europe, also in Pakistan, as well as this struggle, so to speak, between multiculturalism and interculturalism. We really benefited from that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.